Yes,
Um, yeah, go ahead.
yes, Francis. Nice to be here again. I want to be with you in person. I mean, I feel you here, and I really want to see you one time in person. Um, I have a question now, and I was listening to how we started today, and this question was coming to me this week as I knew I'm coming here. Um, and it's about the liberation. Uh, this you started today saying, um, yeah, something about liberation. And I am interested in the liberation from all limiting beliefs. I can experience um, this one, the one reality, one substance. When I'm listening, I can I can feel one voice listening and speaking. It's easier, but when it is through seeing or feeling in my body, I feel more this sense of separation. When you were talking to Cisco about the glasses, about the eye, I was going somewhere. And I would like to explore how far I could go and how far I can get in this sense of not being separated through my seeing and in my body.
Uh, I will give you some tantric tricks, some experiments to conduct or exercises, if you will. But before that, I want to give you a more powerful tool, if you will, uh, which, if you understand it, should get the job done. In order to say that A is separate from B, would you agree that I need somehow to perceive A and to perceive B so that I can see, perceive the gap between them? If they are like this, right? I see A and B, but they are not separate. Here they are separate, right? So, but what is essential to make the claim from experience that A is separate from B, I need to see A and B and to see the separation between them, right?
Mhm.
So when you say, I feel that I am separate, you are describing an experience of separation, right?
The person, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
You are
yes,
describing an experience.
yes.
And this separation is between what and what?
from
What
the
is what is A and what is B? What is the left hand and what is the right hand?
yes, yes, yes. From one person to the other, from one thing to the other.
What you call the person? The body?
Yeah, the body, the
Oh,
objects that we are seeing.
that's fair enough. So if you see two body or your own body and another body, and if you have a picture taken of both bodies, okay, on that level, they are separate, right? There
Yeah,
is there is space between them. But on the other hand, for instance, they breathe the same air, these two bodies. So through the air they breathe, which is very essential to their survival, they are not separate, they share, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so physically, they are not separate because uh, you see the air and the oxygen is even more is as essential to the survival of the body as the blood that flows in the veins and in the arteries, right? Without the air, the body dies. Without the blood, the body dies. So just as the blood is an organ of the body, a fluid, right? The air that goes into our lungs and the oxygen that goes into our system is also some kind of organ of the body. It's a fluid like the blood, absolutely necessary for the survival. So we don't share our blood with our neighbor, but we share the air. And more generally, we also share the sun, share the light. We share the entire biosphere. You see, so at first sight, the bodies are separate, but in fact, they are not that separate. But there is something more important. Because when we say I am separate, do we mean that I, this human body, is separate from the other human body, or do we mean this consciousness is separate from this other consciousness?
I know the consciousness is not separated.
How do you know it?
Um,
Do you know it because you have heard people say it and as a result you have believed it? Or do you know it from your own experience?
I have had some experiences that inform me. However, it seems hmm, I there are things that I cannot explain how it happens. So it can only be that it is one field of consciousness. I cannot explain otherwise. So I know we cannot be 100% sure.
Let's put it the other way.
Yeah,
Can we be sure that your consciousness and my consciousness are separate?
we cannot be sure that they are separated.
Think for 1 second. If your consciousness and my consciousness were really separate, it would mean that our exchange in this moment is meaningless,
Hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It would
Mm-hmm.
mean that if, for instance, you seem to have understood what I just said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If we were truly separate, that would be impossible,
Yeah. And
right?
that's what I mean when I say through listening, I'm knowing this. And I'm getting what you are saying. I'm knowing it.
Yeah. So we can communicate. In other words, that in me which understands, whatever that is, and that in you which understands are not separate.
Yes.
Because if they were separate, we couldn't possibly communicate understanding.
Right. I
So
get it. My
there,
problem, yeah.
there is somehow, we have time, don't worry, let's follow me. Somehow, we don't need to know how, but we know that somehow your consciousness, meaning that in you which understands, and that in me which understands, are connected. If they were disconnected, we couldn't exchange understanding. We don't have to worry how we are connected. We don't need to be like an engineer who says, okay, the connection goes through there, through there, through. Oh, no. All we need to know is we are connected. Therefore, we are not separate. And if we are not separate, somehow we are one. Somehow your consciousness, meaning that which understands in you and that which understands in me, are the same. And it turns out also, and you can verify that for yourself, that that which understands and that which hears the words is the same, right?
Right.
There is not in you one hearer and one understander. That which understands, that which hears, that which feels the body, that, that which sees the world, all of that, that which perceives, that which understands is the same. We call it consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
means that at the deepest level, your consciousness and my consciousness, because they are able to communicate, are not separate. And they are not separate, it means they are one. You know, that's all what is meant. So sometimes we forget, you see,
Yes.
because although we are always one somewhere, here we may feel that you are separate. And here we may feel we are separate also. But that doesn't eliminate the fact that
Mm-hmm.
we are one as consciousness. So, as a body, we may feel separate. As a mind, we may be separate apparently. Because on the level of the mind, you cannot have access to my thoughts. I cannot have access to your thoughts. It doesn't prevent us from being connected. As I said, we don't know how. We don't know how we are connected, but we know that we are connected. That's the most important.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the level of consciousness, we are not separate. So when we say, I feel that I am separate, or I experience that I am separate, it is on a different level. The
Mm.
level of the body, on the level of the mind, right? But not on the level of consciousness.
Mm. Yeah.
You see, on the level of the body, I can see the distance. On the level of the mind, I don't have access to your dreams. You don't have access to my thoughts. So there is apparent separation.
Mm-hmm.
But this separation is not important the moment we are one and the same. It's like two flowers on the same tree. They seem to be separate. But if you go down the limb, down the branch, down to the trunk, they are one. They are
Yes.
three. The source of life is the same for both of them.
Yeah, I know. But I want to see that. I want to see it too. I hear it and I want to see it.
Okay? You want to see it, but it's just that you believe that you are separate. And you superimpose this belief onto your experience of seeing. But as you see, let's assume, let's assume, because you don't remember, but that was the case. 5 minutes after you open your eyes for the first time, because babies, when they are newborn, sometimes the eyes are closed, right? But let's say 2 minutes after you open your eyes for the first time, you don't remember, but you didn't feel separate from whatever was there, some nurse or your mother or some nipple or whatever was around, right? Whatever you saw at that time, you had no idea, no
Mm,
concept of a distance or of a separation,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So you're right now, you have the same eyes, perhaps not as sharp as they were, but you have the same cognitive apparatus as you had following your birth. So
Mm,
the fact that you see a separation that you didn't see at that time is the result of all the events you have experienced since that moment, right? That are stored in your memory, in your patterns, but they were not there. In other words, this separation in the now. Because in the now, if you forget whatever you know, you will be in the situation of the newborn baby. If you don't allow for what you know about the separation about to come in.
mm,
In other words, in the now, what I am trying to tell you is that in the now, which mean which means in the real experience, because only the now is real. If we don't superimpose our memory, our knowledge of separation, of so-called separation, in the now, our natural experience, the one of the newborn child, the visual experience is one in which there is no separation.
yeah.
Now, some people would say, yes, Francis, but you are asking me to become stupid like the newborn child and to set aside everything I've learned, the distance between objects and all of that stuff. No, I'm not asking you to do that because we have two views of the world. We have a practical view of the world, which enables us to move in the world. And this view is made of maps we have created since childhood, of maps we have created, and which have serve a useful purpose, but in the relative level. But what we are interested in here is the reality, the absolute level. And the absolute level has to correspond to the experience of reality itself, not to the map, not to the concept. The map, the concepts are useful for survival, but they are not designed to give us a true experience of reality, which is only in the now. In the now, there is no separation. So now that I have tried to convince you that, in fact, there is no separation from consciousness to consciousness, and you ask me, yes, but I want to experience it. And my answer is simple: go to the now. Because in the now, there is never a separation. The separation is just because you believe that there is such a separation in your experience of the now. So, and that which is true of what we see is true of what we hear, is true of what we touch also. In fact, it's easier with what we touch and with what we hear. So now I'm giving you tantric tricks.
How is it easier with what we touch?
Because, well, I don't want to give explanation because it would be too theoretical. Just check it out for yourself. And if you close your eyes in this moment, and everybody can do that, if we close our eyes, okay, the picture becomes more simple because all the visual aspect has been eliminated. And what you have is the sound of my voice. What you have are your bodily sensations. And what you have are some tactile sensation of the contact between your skin and the chair, for instance. But if you ask yourself, do my thoughts, the sound of Francis' voice, my bodily sensations, like hunger or whatever, and my tactile sensation of the contact with the external object, do they happen outside of me or inside of me? You see that in order to say that the sounds are happening outside of me, and that my sensation of, I don't know, of breathing, for instance, happens inside of me, that is a description that doesn't really fit my experience. With the eyes closed, my experience is that either is more than everything is inside of me, because everything is happening in the same space. Now, you may have not followed what I just suggested. So for this experiment, it's important to reach this conclusion that experientially, with my eyes closed, everything is inside me, that my bodily sensations appear exactly where my thoughts appear, and that the sounds I am hearing, my auditory perceptions, appear also in the same place. That's why I'm saying it is simpler to feel, in this case, I'm not separate from my sound any more than I am separate from my thoughts. They are all appearing in me. They are my children, so to speak. They are the children of my mind. And my mind is the child of my awareness. So
It's
now,
easy, it is easy to feel it with the eye
oh,
closed and
yeah,
easy
yeah.
space.
And
Yes.
then the exercise is you open your eyes, and then all of a sudden, the visual images appear. And it seems that the world all of a sudden jumps outside of you. But then you close your eyes and you understand that the visual sensations,
Mm,
perceptions, are not really different from the auditory sensations.
mm,
You see, that intellectually gives you
mm,
some confidence to renew the experiment. So then you go back. Your eyes are closed. You feel everything is inside. And then as you open your eyes, observe that in fact, whatever appears visually also is appearing in you. And then you close your eyes and you do it again. And you do this because you work on the transition between the eyes closed and the eyes open. Yeah? You work on that. And you do it for 5 minutes or for 3 minutes, twice a day for 3 months. And then at some point, you will notice that something has changed in the way you, you handle the world outside.
mm,
That somehow your connection with the tree, with the bird, with other people has changed. That somehow,
mm.
and you don't notice. And then when you notice it, you see, oh, but it has been the case for a long time already. Because you don't know when this transition really happens and you don't care. But what is important is that, in a sense, the word is in me. You, the word is in me is the new mantra.
Yeah. Thank you so much, teacher. I love you so much and I want to see you one time. I already I feel you and I want to see you. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, you cannot see me unless you see me everywhere as everything.
Mm,
Um, you don't have to see me physically if it is not meant to be. If it is meant to be, we see each other, we meet each other. But don't worry if the conditions are not ripe, are not ready for us to meet, because we are meeting right now. It's the same, no difference.
I know.
The difference is not in the geography, the difference is in your desire, in you. Like if someone would like to meet me, would have the possibility to meet me, but would not meet because it's too feels like an effort or whatever, then it's a different story. But if you don't have the financial means, the health to travel, all of that, don't worry about that because then we meet here. It's all the same.
Mm.
No change.
I know it's all the same, and I know I'm so glad we have internet and we have these connections,
Yeah.
and I know these transmissions work. I know it, but still, if it's supposed to be, it will be, and
Yeah.
you'll see.
Where do you
It,
live?
I live in Amsterdam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's one day, who knows? Thank
Okay.
you.